Hi there, my name's Bernie Doyle and my friends call me Holden. This is a video specifically for the Tomorrow Today community. I ran a poll, here it is, with a couple different topics. I wanted to deliver something meaningful. So on this occasion, let's go for the human aura, a historical perspective, and perhaps we'll come around and do some other videos on astrology and the art of detection. The first thing that I wanted to mention is I've been working into the aura for over 30 years. I've taught thousands of people how to see and sense an aura. It's still a very emergent understanding that's dawning on human consciousness in regards to appreciation and the technical ramifications of what the aura is. I did have an option for a technical view of the aura, but we're going for the historical perspective. I need to put in a context here to make sense of what we're talking about. If you just want to get some type of backward-looking rear view mirror into the human aura, you can find all that kind of thing at your local museum, or you can, search the rich images that are available on Google. My perspective is very specific and it has a very pointed direction about where it's going to, and it will help to context the descriptive value that I attach to the different pictures that we're going to be viewing regarding the human aura. And the simple, concrete foundation of this investigation into the human aura is based on this fact. The human is in a process of evolution. That means we were somewhere, we are now where we are now, and we are going somewhere. Yeah, so that means that where the human was is now a thing of the past, where the human is now is a present, and the human is going somewhere, which is in the future. What this means is our current period right now will become the past, and the future will become the present. This arc of understanding of human evolution is critical, coming from the point of view that I'm bringing to the human aura. There's one other factor to be brought into this consideration, which is there's the rise and fall of cultures. There's the rise and fall of civilizations. And at the trough, there seems to be, the fall of the Roman Empire, for example, or other empires before. There was a kind of a crushing oppression upon human life. And then out of that emerges a new dawn for the human. And it has been many dark nights and new dawns, dark nights and new dawns for the human race. The point that I'm making here is that to context these images we're looking at, we will be looking back in history when the human race was perhaps at a high point and in comparison to the human civilization at low points, because at different times in world history, humans had a greater capacity to see electromagnetically. And then as civilization declined, they lost that ability and they put in place a type of replica of what they knew at one point. And then what happens is it reemerges and the human kind of wakes up again, has more clarity. The atmosphere of planet Earth becomes more conductive, less polluted, and the human then rises into an event of being able to see things more clearly electromagnetically. So it's a bit of a sophisticated approach that we're making here, but I'll just sum it up once again, is that the human race is an evolving species, and on that trajectory of evolution, there's high points and low points. During those different high and low points, have there been examples of the human aura caught in picture and in form? And this is what we're going to be getting into. So I'm going to go through about 100 slides here. Hang in if you want. This is specifically for Tomorrow Today community. And so once again, my name is Bernie, but my friends call me Holden. I've been doing this for 30 years. I've traveled to 40 countries looking at the secret esoteric lives of human beings. So this is kind of a unique video. It may be for you, maybe it's not. Let's carry on now. And just for the slides, if you find one of the slides is useful for you and it floats your boat and you have a question, on the left-hand side of the screen, I hope, is, so we're doing the aura historical perspective. It then shows slide number 1. If I go to slide number 2, and you can drop your questions in the comments. So if you're going to drop a question in the comment about something that's said about the human aura, then you can refer to, on slide number 1, what is that thing going on there. All right, so enough introduction. We're going to jump right in, and let's look at the first one. So going back to ancient Egypt, there is a thing about the sun, and this turns up a lot in regards to the human aura because it's an electromagnetic radiation. And I would describe a key difference here is that you've got different levels or strengths of electromagnetic radiation of the human. One strength of radiation or one expression of the human aura is when they're connected to the planet. And there is another level of radiation that happens on top of that when a human being becomes connected to a solar or sun level energy. So right here in this image, we can see that there's a sun level energy that's descending upon this person, and it is creating an appearance above their head. Now, I would maintain that a lot of what we're going to look at that look like physical hats or things going on above the head were not actually there physically, but they were there electromagnetically. So it's part of the shape that occurs within the human aura. And this one here is showing a person with a kind of a head development. And it's also curious that there's a lot of skulls and statues that show this type of elongated head. That might be a relationship between an energized electromagnetic state going on within the human brain that causes the brain to take on a different formation. Okay, so there's a lot to say about color and the human aura. This is the Swiss Guard, which is a group of people that I guess they're like something between 18 and 30 years old, and for 5 years they guard the Vatican. And it's men, and they wear this particular type of outfit. Colors that are represented, especially in ceremonial costume, have a great deal to do with telling the story of what was going on electromagnetically. So this person here has a silver hat with a red plumage. The red plumage and red typically in the human aura has to do with discipline, order, and marshalling. And there is a high end and a low end to red. The high end is like keeping order, keeping things specific, keeping things in a decent fashion of control, not punishingly so. But at the lower end of red, that's where you get unbridled violence. So the Swiss Guard here is showing that at an electromagnetic level, there is a high level of principle that's held within this person because they've got gold and blue, which are kind of regal colors. They've got this ruffle around the neck, which is showing what would be the outplay of the emotions and how that is being contained and put into an orderly fashion also. As we go through these different slides, there's some foundations to put in place, but it becomes quite amazing. So this one here is depicting the color of yellow, which has a lot to do with healing in the human design. And there is a display here of, there's what we'll see a lot of is these threads coming out the top of a person's head, and they're depicted in different ways, but electromagnetically within the human aura, there's millions or billions of threads, electromagnetic threads coming out from your head, and they are depicted in different ways. The facial paint here would be showing the types of radiations going on with the person. It's interesting that there's a line that goes separating the air water and earth part of themselves to the eyes, which are electromagnetic. So this would be talking about the separation of the energies within the person, having to do with being in a healing process. Here's another one of these amazing skulls. That's a whole other conversation, but I like them, so they go into the videos. Here's one from Asian, and it's showing what looks to be a physical form of some type of lattice work, and then this cup upon the person's head. There is within the human faculty and the brain, and this has to do with the difference of, are you connected at a planetary level or are you connected to a solar level energy? Those are two very different levels of energy. The solar one, the sun one, being much higher energy than the planet, but you need a fully developed planetary development before you can begin an initiation into a solar level development. But when that solar level development begins to happen, the planetary part of your aura opens up kind of like a flower, kind of like a cup, and into that comes the solar level energy. So just as a flower comes up from the ground, it can't accept, the light from the sun until it opens up. It's very much the same with the human in their development process. So as you can see, the human is on an evolutionary process. The human aura has to do with processing different energies that have to do with different levels of, I guess you could call it illumination, but it's more an activation of the higher technologies that exist within our electromagnetic design. And there are new electromagnetic possibilities within the human that are in the process of being activated right now. So this is like a cup above the head, being able to accept a type of electromagnetic frequency that would come from the sun, which would turn on all kinds of amazing faculties like clairvoyance or electrical vision. And very much today, people might be saying things like, they're feeling like their head is opening up and that light's coming in. That's part of the activating process. These ones here, this one is similar. I do tours at the museum, the Royal Ontario Museum here in Toronto, and there's beautiful tapestries that come from China. And what you can start to see here is that there are groups of people that come together, and when there is a group of people that are in a similar vibration with each other, their electromagnetism, their aura, starts to define itself as in a complementary arrangement with others. So what we're looking at here is a complementary arrangement of three people who are all involved in the same kind of electromagnetic process. It could be that they might be, making laws, they might be drafting a constitution, maybe they're in some type of ceremony. I'm not sure what this one is, but you've got one is blue, one is red, and one is green, meaning that they're holding those vibrations and being contributory and building up. This is part of what you could consider as a collective agency. And that's a more advanced technology to do with higher level human functioning, where groups of people can come together and each one takes on a certain responsibility at an electromagnetic level, and the group of them make for a collective agency. The communications that happen between each other at those times is very special indeed and has to do with human evolution. Here again is a similar one. You get these ornate type of hats appearing above people's heads, and then you get these types of halos. Halos turn up in different ways. Sometimes they're located around the head, which has to do with the activation of the pineal gland, and other times they come more out of the shoulders and go from one shoulder to another, which has to do with not only is the halo of the activation of the pineal gland causing there to be an illumination and a turning on of the human faculty at a mental and mind level, but that energy is also then flowing into the body. And so you have this kind of mind-body, different levels of magnetic activity that happen between the two of them. Hi friends, I just wanted to mention that I have to truncate the video here. I've got some other things that I need to go to. If it's been useful, please leave a message in the comment section, and I'll jump back and pick up if there's an interest. Otherwise, I'll just move on to one of the other videos. Thanks, bye.